to share with you the Rocky Creek Metallurgical Coal Project. I'd also like to acknowledge that I'm here today and presenting on the proud traditional territory of the Treaty 8 First Nations. So as Naomi said, I'm Judy, and my role at CTI Plus, I'm a geologist, but my main focus with CTI Plus is on the regulatory and permitting side, and also all the engagement. A little bit about me is that I was born in the Peace Country, but I was raised in Calgary. I graduated from geology, U of A, and after that I worked in this area in the oil and gas industry for about 20 years. My main focus is around that Fort Nelson area, and then of course around the Fort St. John area as well. I've been working in metallurgical coal since about 2010, and in this part of the province, and then 3 years in the northern part of the province. So again, thank you for coming here today and listening to all about the Rocky Creek project. And joining me today is my colleague, Peter Hain, and Peter will be helping me with the slideshow and that sort of thing. And I have, yeah, go ahead. Yeah, I have left business cards too, so please, if I forget something or you have questions later, please don't hesitate to email me or text me or whatever. I'm happy to answer that.
And there's pens and notebooks here as well. Please grab one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, enough about me and all that, and we're going to get started on Rocky Creek. So today what I'm going to cover is who CTI Plus is, about the project, of course, the project overview, the work that we have done thus far, and then the timelines, and then the most important is how we can work together on assisting with training, economic benefits on the Rocky Creek project. Okay, a little bit about us. So we're called CTI Plus. The acronym CTI is coal to iron. The coal that we're looking for is strictly only used for steel iron. We are Canadian. We have staff in Alberta and BC. We're based out of Calgary. Myself, I do live in British Columbia. And again, our key focus is metallurgical coal. Another name for metallurgical coal is coking coal. Coking coal is a grade of coal that produces high quality coke. So why is coke important? Coke is important because it is an essential fuel and reactant in blast furnaces to produce steel. There are not a lot of high-grade deposits of coking coal, which I'm pretty sure most of you are aware of. One of the high-grade deposits of coking coal is here in this area. Another area of BC that we're high-grade coal is northern BC, if you're familiar with Dease Lake area, just south of Dease, around Belquin area. There's some high grades of coking coal there. And of course, down in the Elk Valley, where everybody's familiar with that, in Teck, now Glencore, with the Elk Valley deposits. But the coal that we're finding here, very high grade, and I wish I brought some samples of the coal, but it's just a very hard, dense coal. If you rub it on your face or hands, there's no block, there's no bitumen on it. It's just really a beautiful coal. So enough about the met coal. Our team is very small. We have 6 people on our team in CTI Plus, but we all have experience in the met coal industry, and especially on the exploration side. And of course, we're committed to sustainability and economic growth where we work, in the communities where we operate. Location. So we're roughly halfway between Chetwynd here and Tumbler Ridge, are 47 kilometers southwest of here. Now, for those who are familiar with the Brill mine, we're 7 kilometers south of Brill. So as you're aware, like, there's a lot of good road structure, infrastructure already in place where Rocky Creek is located. Now, more details on it. So from Chetwynd, Highway 97, then onto the Sekunka Road, and goes 16.6 kilometers on the Sekunka. And then southwest on the Blind Creek Road for 2.5 kilometers. And then to the lower Burnt Pine, go just under 17 kilometers, onto Jig Road for 10 kilometers. And that's where the site is. And Naomi, I'm happy to send this presentation to you if any of your members, you know, would like it, because I know it's a lot of information and numbers and all that.
Absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so proposed project. We are looking at an open pit mines are 2 blocks. So the 2 blocks would be the northwest block and then a southeast block. So I don't have a pointer, but you can see on the northwest on there and then the southeast. Oh, thanks, Peter.
Yeah, so the northwest
Yeah.
is this A, and then the southeast is this B down here.
The northwest is basically our key focus. We're looking at 6 open pits there. In the southeast, 1 open pit. The northwest block would be basically for production development, 10 years. The southeast block, about 2 years. And then, so that's 12 years. And then we're looking at 1 year for construction of the 2 blocks, and then 1 year for, of course, reclamation. Now, we're for proposed rail loop, and I want to emphasize proposed because we are looking at other options. We're looking in the Hasler Flat area. We're looking right where, of course, there's a CN rail load up there. We have been in discussion with CN. And so right now, yeah, the proposed area, and that's where the clean coal would go to, and then be put on rail, headed to Prince Rupert, headed over to Asia. A lot of people ask me, well, do you have buyers for the coal? And I go, no, don't, you know, we're a long ways off and don't have any, you know, there's not a particular buyer yet that is looking for this coal. So I've already talked about the 14-year mine life, and 14 years. It's basically what we're looking at start to finish, but that is an estimate as well. So it has a geologist, you know, once you get into an area and then you find other seams, that it could go longer, but right now the numbers we're getting back and what we're working on in the feasibility study in the 43-101, so we're looking at 12 years of life of mine. What we're looking at is per year production of 3 million tons raw coal. We would have a washing facility on site, so the clean coal, we're looking at just under 2 million tons per year of clean coal to be hauled away. We're also looking at 250 direct jobs, and this number comes from our engineering consultants, and that were for work, jobs that we would need to assist us. And we don't have indirect jobs there, but as we all know, for every direct job, there's a ratio of about 2 to 3 indirect jobs. So we would be providing indirect jobs, up to 500 jobs. And of course, by indirect, you know, if it's safety suppliers, waste management, you know, the list goes on and on. Before Peter goes on to the next slide, I don't have a slide on geology, but I just simply want to say is that we are looking at the Gething coal seam, and which most of the coal companies do to go after the Gething coal seam. And the coal seam is fairly shallow, 80 to 100 meters. So that's, if you have any more questions on geology, I'm happy to answer, but that's basically what the geology is all about. Okay. Well, of course, our social commitment, you know, that goes without saying, and that's, you know, one reason why Peter and I are here today too. Want to share with you. We want to know how we can work together. We always want to be open and transparent. We want to work together with the Indigenous communities and the other local communities, and there's more slides which I'll talk about on our work with the Indigenous communities and the other communities. We want to be ethically responsible business, corporate neighbors. We want to, of course, mitigate any potential concerns, and of course, you know, mitigation. And there are concerns. There's no doubt about it, and I'm happy to discuss any questions you have on some of the concerns of our Indigenous friends and neighbors, you know, some of the concerns they have and some of the concerns you have too. So we are looking very much into, working on with mitigation. Of course, we want to bring sustainable economic benefits to the Chetwynd community and the other local communities. And of course, local employment opportunities and participation, obviously with the project. And support local services, business and infrastructure, and of course, the Chetwynd Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so again, we really stress working together. This project, no project can go ahead without the community and Indigenous support. I learned that way back working in the Northwest Territories, is that you can have the best resource, you know, but if you do not have that support, you cannot work together, you know, you're never going to develop that resource. So really emphasize, you know, working together in the communities and input, participation on how we can do better. So we are working with the Indigenous communities. This project, the Rocky Creek project, it triggers also the federal environmental assessment. So by that, we work with the First Nations, and we also work together with the Métis. And the Métis, the two groups of the Métis, of course, is a Métis Nation BC, which their office is located in Lower Mainland, and then with the Kelly Lake Métis Settlement Society. And probably very familiar with the Treaty 8 First Nations that we are working with, Treaty 8 plus Horse Lake First Nation, to that we engage with. I won't go through the list because you're probably all very familiar with First Nation. North of the Peace, it's the Halfway River, Doig, and Blueberry. And then, of course, the First Nations that you're next door with here on the south of the Peace. Local communities, and you know them all, I won't go into it. And then other stakeholders are the tenure holders that we share tenure with or we're next door with. We have been engaged with Canumacol, Glencore, Ministry of Forestry, the Peace River Regional District, Caribou Recovery Committee. So there's a long list of stakeholders that we are regularly engaged with. Okay, proposed timelines. So I'm just going to take it back a bit. CTI Plus Resources were incorporated in BC back in 2019. I wasn't working for them at the time, but in 2020 did some exploration work, had a notice of work permit, did some exploration work, and then COVID set in, so pause. So it wasn't until 2022, 2023, like the end of 2022 and then into 2023, that things really started to happen. Got a notice of work permit, did some more drilling, and then started the baseline studies. So, and also in 2023, so we started the environmental baseline studies in August of 2023, and then we also started some work on putting together the feasibility study. So we move into 2024, and 2024, we put together what's called an initial project description. And if you're not familiar with the initial project description, it's just the very first document that the BC government receives, the EAO, I should say, Environmental Assessment Office receives. And then they decide that triggers a federal assessment. So in that initial project description, it also includes an engagement plan, how we will engage with the communities, how we will engage with the Indigenous communities. That document goes to the BCAO, and then if there's no gaps in there, please, and in that document is the proposed mine plan, the proposed routes, you know, everything at what, at this point in time, without real detailed engagement with the First Nations and communities, EAO and IAC, they review it. If they're happy with it, then they say, okay, it can go ahead. And now we're into the early engagement process with the province and the So we submitted our initial project description, just a draft of it, back in July of 2024. And then the BC government and the federal government, they took a look at it and said, well, okay, looks good, looks good. And then we sent it out to the First Nations to review to see if they had any questions on it. Everything was good. Then we submitted the final document on August 26th. So once we submitted that, now we're on the BCAO website and we're in public comment period, and like now people are the communities and are starting to know more about the Rocky Creek project. So, so now August 2024. So once we submitted that detailed, or the initial project description engagement plan, now BCAO and IAC are requiring weekly meetings with us. And it's just more guidance on how, next steps. So we started that, and we also did some preliminary archaeology work back in August. And during the summer, we did attend the West Moberly Cultural Days, which is always a great, great time. McLeod Lake AGA, Soto Pemmican Days, and Cultural Camp. And so it was a fairly busy summer, but it was a good summer. And so now we've sent out the initial project description, which has been approved by the EAO and by IAC, now to all the nations, and for their review. And they have a time period to review it, and then come back with their responses and concerns. So that took us for the review period, so now we're looking at towards the end of November type of thing. And in October, we also held open houses with the EAO and IAC. We were here in Chetwynd on October 16th. We were in Tumbler Ridge on October 17th. And we had really good attendance in Tumbler Ridge and also here in Chetwynd. And we also then, for people who couldn't make it from communities, we had a virtual open session with EAO and IAC on October 22nd. And also what I forgot to mention too, when we got into the EA process, the province puts together what's called a technical advisory committee, and that's qualified people from the regulatory side to review our IPD, to then come back with comments to what more information we need, what we haven't done, or clarify this and that. So we were also back in September working with the technical advisory committee. So I'm still talking about 2024. So we had all the comments come back at the end of November. A couple of the First Nations, they needed more time to respond, which is fine. So they extended it till about the beginning of December. At the end of December, then we received what's called acronym JOSI, which is a Joint Summary of Engagement. And this is where concerns, responses on our initial project description. And of course we got back more than a page, a few pages, 423 comments, yeah, and which we need to respond to on how, and that's all when mitigation comes into play. So I'm still in, now we're going into 2025, so, so 2020, this year, what we're doing is we're working right now on what we call the detailed project description. And the detailed project description is how we took those comments, concerns, after the initial project description, and what we did for mitigation or discussion, and how we needed to change the mine plan or change roads or what, to accommodate and to mitigate. So that's what we're working on now. And we're hoping to submit the draft of it to First Nations and government, say Q2 of this year, so June, May, June, that's kind of what we're hoping. Hopefully that timeline works. And then once the EAO have that in their hands, and then it takes them 90 days to review it, have their qualified people in various disciplines of government to review it, and then see, and also with the First Nation concerns on how we address that or mitigate that. And then what comes what's called a readiness decision. So now we're going into 2026. So 2026, we're hoping that we receive that readiness decision, where the government then tells us is that, oh, green light, you know, you can go ahead there, you know, you did everything, or probably our yellow light, well, might be able to go ahead, but, you know, there's gaps here, you need to do this, or red light, where, no, there's too many, you know, adverse effects on the environment or on traditional land or something like that, where, you know, it's a no-go. So we're hoping to get that answer in 2026. Not, so, but, you know, we're working hard, and we've been engaged with First Nations since 2022, and but particularly in the last 18 months or so. So once we get that decision, 2027, we're a year later, in the latter part of 2027, we're hoping to receive then the environmental assessment certificates from the province and from the federal government. We can only go for then the Mines Act permit after we receive those environmental assessment certificates. So 2027 will be probably still a year of addressing any gaps or, you know, any more, you know, work on, might have to do some more changes in that. So once we receive those, if we receive those EA certificates, then in 2028, we then would apply for the Mines Act permit. Mines Act permit then allows us to start construction, start the mine. Now, so that's 2028, and then hopefully we get that permit if it arrives, and then we start construction 2028, and 2030, hoping then to have production of that high quality coking coal coming out of there and on its way to Prince Rupert. Still, but we have a ways to go, I know. Yeah, our commitment to sustainability, as I mentioned, we started our environmental studies and data collection back in August of 2023. And I won't go through the list, but you know, all the disciplines that we have been working on. We are aware too of, you know, with some of the issues, very aware of the issues in the area, and with the First Nations. So I've been working on that, leading to our approach. And from what we've heard from the First Nations and local communities is that minimize our footprint. If we can work together with other proponents and, you know, and companies like Kanuma, if we can work together to minimize the footprint, then that is what we've heard loud and clear from First Nations and from the regulators too. So that is what our focus is to work together with other industry to minimize that footprint. And that's what our main objectives right now is to do that. And leading to bringing social and economic opportunities while again minimizing our footprint and mitigating potential impacts. And that's pretty much it on our project, where we are, how we started, and who we are, and I'm really happy in myself and Peter to answer any questions you may have.
And should I grab the lights a little bit?
Could you explain exactly where it is again, your road structure, where you go up Sakunka, you turn up Sakunka and you go 2.5 kilometers, and then you turn there. Could you take it from there for us?
Sure.
please?
So it's 16.6 up
Correct.
Sakunka, and then I always write it down since I forget the numbers. And then it's 2.5 on the Blind Creek, and then that's southwest on Blind Creek, and then you go 16.6 west on Lower Burnt, and then turn on to Jilg, go 10
Jilg,
kilometers.
is it?
Yeah, Jilg.
Yeah, we can share this. If there's
Oh,
the-
Peter will
yeah.
bring it up
Or,
again. Yeah.
or we can,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
if
Peter-
you're gonna
yeah.
send the PowerPoint to
He's-
that's
me,
what- yeah.
we can certainly share that.
The man's smarter than I am, he just took a picture.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then, and that's where the mine is?
Yeah, potentially, yeah.
Okay, and then you plan on roading it from there down to Hasler?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
down through,
Hasler, Forest Service Road,
yeah,
yeah.
kilometer does that come out at, Jones? Doesn't matter. What is it? Thanks.
Just thinking, yeah, about that, yeah.
You have
If
a
I'm
road.
wrong, I can get that back to you, but
Yeah,
if
please.
it's not right, yeah.
Thanks, Drew.
Are you guys building a new road, or are you gonna use the rules road?
Hoping to use Brill's Road, but no new roads. The road infrastructure is so good, but upgrades would be
Yeah.
required, yeah.
Would they have access to Bruce Road, like?
Well,
Yeah, no.
they go to 2.5 on the blind,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they can go there and climb up the blind, I guess.
I guess the blind is Bruce Road, yeah.
Not really. That makes it worse.
And to haul the coal out, we're looking at hauling about 10,000 tons coal out every 2 days up to Rupert. So that would require 116 cars every 2 days. Yeah?
So you said 6 open mine pits.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at 250 employees, are you looking at just contractors coming in, or are you actually looking at like physical workers, equipment operators, so on and so forth?
Good question. The 250 is direct, not contractors. So it's just, yeah, direct workers.
Are you going to be hiring locally first?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Like all CTI Plus and what our philosophy always, in my philosophy, is local talent. Like, why would you bring people in from elsewhere when you know, if, and of course, you know, we don't know what's gonna be happening here, like, if, you know, if there's gonna be a real boom and can't find workers or people, but yeah, it absolutely,
There's no plans for a work camp, it'll be
yeah.
local, bust in,
Mhm.
likely.
Yeah, yeah, I've always, you know, support the local communities, support the province, and lastly, support Canada. Yeah, yeah.
Do you plan on working with the employment services, like our?
Yes, yeah, I believe that we, like, I didn't personally, but I think we interviewed employment services for our socio-economic piece, but I will look into that,
I
but
think
yeah.
my manager was in contact.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the reclamation piece looks like?
We don't have it
I
all
know that's
finished
a
yet.
long ways out, but
Yeah, it is a
I'm
long
just
ways out.
curious to know what that looks like.
We're still actually working on it, but one of the keys what we want to do is progressive reclamation. So that piece I can kind of help you with, but we're using ERM, you know, the old ResCan, you might be more familiar with ResCan, but ERM, we bought ResCan. They're putting together a reclamation plan, and we have also been in discussion with First Nations, what they would like to see as well, reclamation, but happy to share, you know, once it's done. Everything we do now is public, and I can send Naomi the link on how you find out, keep up to date on, it's through the EPIC website, through the EAO.
Thank you. I also have a question about your housing program. What would that look like for housing those 250 families, hopefully families?
Well, we're hoping to hire local, so then we wouldn't have to worry about housing.
So is there enough,
Yeah.
is there enough housing here to absorb that already?
Probably not right now, this time, you know, at this time, but now we're looking like, you know, 2028 to on. So we're aware of it, but we don't have an answer yet, because we don't know, you know, what the economy's gonna be and that, but, yeah. And I'm fully aware too, you know, with HD and the Murray River project and the housing project that they built in Thunder Ridge and that sort of thing, but, yeah, so we haven't, quite, when we go through the EA process, we will be addressing that. That will, it's one, but the stage we're at now, it's not required to address it through the detailed project description, but it's definitely will be, and that question in other projects worked on always is asked, the concerns of, where will the worker, and the families.
Well, it's critical to
and
the
schools.
economic development side of the conversation, right?
Mhm.
If people aren't living here, then the community doesn't really benefit from it. So
It-
it's ensuring that ACDEV stays here.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. That's
Have
my-
you, has this company mined in other places? Do you have a track record? Do you have a history?
No, nope, they're junior exploration, and we call ourselves a mining company, but we don't have a mine. This will be the first project.
So you said you were working with other companies like Canuma, in what regard?
Well, just talking, just in discussion, early discussion, just how we can share possibly, yeah.
Hoping to share
And-
infrastructure.
and infrastructure and load out and roads and,
Oh.
yeah, but early discussion, yeah.
The other question I had, you did say you had quite a few comments, suggestions, 431, something like that.
Yeah, 428.
So how, are they mostly negative, or is it just,
It's either like just neutral, like just, suggestions, or, concerns of obviously coal dust, traffic, and of course, making sure, our water quality studies, yeah. But, probably in general, yeah, a bit negative, but like, just, what are you doing about, what would you do for the coal dust? What would you, air quality and.
okay, one other question.
Sure.
Once you get permits from the provincial and federal government, what are the odds that the Mines Act don't give you a permit?
Okay, this is just like based on my experience. It's pretty low that we will not get the permit after you get the environmental assessment certificates. It's usually, once you get the environmental assessment certificates, the Mines Act permit follows fairly soon. But that's just from my experience. I've never seen a case where proponent received the EA certificate, especially from the federal side, and then the Mines Act permit said, no.
Provided you can get that, those certificates.
Correct, yeah, and I think everybody's aware too, the federal government shut down a few projects, yeah. So, I don't know if you wanna go in politics, but I'll just say this real quick. So what the provinces, led by Alberta, took the federal government to court over a year ago. And they're saying, because the federal government shut down the Ministry of the Environment, shut down some projects that Alberta was looking at. And so Alberta and then other provinces joined, BC didn't join, but other provinces joined and took the federal EA to Supreme Court saying, you can't, you have no jurisdiction to stop our projects. And especially if they were awarded the provincial EA. Well, last June, Alberta and the other provinces won. And so this changed now how the federal IAC is working with our province. And so Rocky Creek, this project is the first project to be under now the new legislation.
Question, is DRIPA a part of that? Because we're very different than Alberta. in
Yeah,
terms
DRIPA
of
is
the
part of it,
Indigenous
yeah,
side.
definitely, yeah, definitely, and we abide by DRIPA as well, and with our project. Yeah, I didn't go into great details, but it's a good question, yeah. But it's just that and before, a company would have to do a separate detailed project description for the province and the federal. Now, we just do one for the province, but the federal receives a copy of it, and then the federal EA can still comment on it. But anyway, it's still kind of vague, like the IAC's not really sure because we're the first project, and they say, well, just keep working like this, but, it could change tomorrow, so, yeah, so that's right now, as of today, what's happening.
So there are no coal haul through the community then?
No,
No?
No.
Okay.
no. It would, the proposed load out be fairly close to where the Enersol, sulfur plant is, yeah. there'd be a rail loop, and, yeah, proposed.
Yeah, so you say you're gonna have a wash plant on site,
Yes.
and what was your annual production, you said?
Raw, 3, after
Washed.
washed, say 2.
Yep.
Yeah, it's, we're right now estimating 1.8, but we just kind of rounded off to
Yep.
2 as well, but I think on the screen I have 1.8, but 2, yeah.
Last question
Sure.
from me.
No, no
So
problem.
the 250 employees, is that your maximum or will that change?
It could change, yeah.
More or less?
I can't see less, but, yeah, right now, I mean, it's an estimate, from our consultants, and that, and again, I always, in other projects, I always include it like the indirect jobs too, because, and a project, a company comes in, like, there's so much else happening in behind the scenes, versus the direct jobs, but, yeah, we're looking, that's right now just an estimate. It was kind of funny when I first actually had 243, and I go, huh? Like, that's kind of, you don't really put 240, like try to explain it, the 243 jobs, then we rounded up to 250. But yeah, it's an estimate.
Any further questions?
Is this a public company?
No, not yet. No, there's talk it could be, but right now it's a private company, Canadian owned, yeah.
One last question.
Sure.
Because you're a new company, with no track record, do you
Yeah.
think that is gonna be a deterrent for to get this and get going further?
I hope not, I hope not. I've been working in this area since, well, decades and all that, so I know a lot of people, like the First Nation side and all that, and, so I hope it isn't a deterrent. I hope, like, we've spent a lot of time going into the First Nation communities and listening and, listening to the local communities and that, so I hope it's not a deterrent, but, I don't know. The responses we got at the open houses were actually positive. And the reason they were positive is because they said, this is good, a new company coming in, providing opportunities. And so it didn't sound like a deterrent at the open houses, but, yeah.
Being a new company, there's
Yeah.
a benefit of learning from previous companies.
What kind of presence do you see having in Chetwynd, like as far as head office,
Oh.
that kind of stuff? Is it gonna be in Chetwynd and not in Thunder Ridge?
It would, the talk is right now, and of course, it's not my decision, it'll be our board's and CO's decision, but the talk right now is here, yeah. Just because it's a bit more
We are
convenient.
closer.
Yeah, yeah. And it's pretty good doing business here at the chamber here.
On that note, we do have an office space opening.
Yeah,
It's available April
yeah.
1st.
Yeah, Naomi always lets me want the office space available.
Apparently it was too soon for CTI.
Yeah.
If anybody else is
Yeah.
interested.
We had actually talked about it in this year, but we just think, no, we want to get through into the EA. Once we're into the EA process, then I think it's time. So like another year or so. Otherwise, our home is going to be the Pomeroy, our office and home. Yeah, Naomi's office.
When is your meeting with the Hassler residents?
Well, we're looking right now on the 26th, yeah. 5 to 7 at Scott's place at the senior home. Pine Valley
Senior's home.
Senior.
Pine
Yeah,
Valley.
Pine Valley
Oh.
Senior, yeah.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Monique, that poster's been posted on the Stone Creek Hasler page, if you wanna share it with the rest of the
Oh,
residents.
okay.
And it'll be a different presentation, Monique, like I'll just do the high level, but we're gonna really just focus on the loadout area and then listen to,
Okay.
yeah. So, yeah, if you, hopefully you can make it there, but yeah, it'll be different from today's presentation.
So the company, the work experience goes by the people that work there. That's where any experience comes. But what about financially? Have you got the backing, or are you gonna get in there and then not have enough money to keep going? Next thing you know, we got an American company buying you out.
Yeah, I can pretty much guarantee you that won't happen. We do have the financing to take us right through to construction. And again, the whole, what I'm hearing from the board and our executive director, and that is when it's Canadian, I hire local people, and I know, we all hear that, right, but I know they very much, that's their mandate.
So you're loading onto rail cars?
Yes.
So, I know historically in this region, CN, we've had a challenge getting rail cars in for other industries. Are you having those conversations about increasing that inventory?
Yes, yeah.
And what's the response? Because I know they can be very difficult to work.
Yeah, so far so good. But of course, we're too far out right now, but we are.
Not really,
yeah.
not to get rail cars.
Yeah,
like that.
but we've been speaking with, their engineer out at Calgary, and then also their business development manager out of Winnipeg. And they haven't raised any red flags that they can't do it, and they've already estimated, how many more cars would be needed. But we also have to be more certain to where the loadout will be and where
Right.
we'll need those rail cars.
Sure.
Before we get CN to start any work.
How many rail cars per day? You say it's 10,000 tons every 2 days?
Yeah, 116.
116 every day, every two days?
Yeah,
116.
yeah. So roughly, I don't know, 56, 50, something like that. And every day, yeah, but at 116 every 2 days, yeah.
And so is there, I know that our province is very EV friendly, electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Are they pushing you into a conversation about those load trucks, haul trucks being electric, or is it gas powered is still fine?
Not yet, those conversations have not come up.
Do you,
yet.
do you anticipate that they will?
They could, yeah. Yeah, most likely, yeah.
So how would you work to accommodate that in an environment that is not necessarily EV friendly? I mean, not politically, I mean weather and length of batteries
Yeah.
and that sort of thing.
So I guess that's further discussion with the CN, and, because I'm like, I don't know, I haven't had that discussion with CN, what they're doing, but we would definitely, be working to how we can support that as well. But that's a good,
Well, there's
another
lots
good
of
question,
questions
because I
that come
can,
from that, right, like
yeah.
charging stations and all that sort of stuff, and infrastructure for that, should that be something that the government was pushing, right? Is that we don't have that infrastructure,
Yeah,
so
that
it's
will-
just interesting.
That'll probably come through when we do the EA process. I'm sure that's gonna come through, like right now in the detailed project description, we do have to have a section in there on greenhouse gases and carbon and all that. Like, we have included that, but we don't have, like how we would, the vehicles and turnover. There is a company, I think, started just here in Prince George that are use e-trucks for industry, for hauling and that, so I've been watching that type of thing, but yeah, we aren't at that point yet, but definitely in the EA process, I know that the province would most likely,
Yeah.
we'd have to address that.
Interesting,
Yeah.
thank you.
Oh, go ahead.
So it sounds like there's gonna be some, because you're gonna be using the roads and offloading sites, there's gonna be some crossover potentially with Canuma.
Mhm.
So I imagine you're gonna have to be working somewhat with them. How is that going? Like, how is that relationship? I mean, they're obviously competitors, so,
Yeah.
how is that,
It-
how do you
it-
foresee that going?
They actually also, we met with their CEO, back in January, and they're actually very cooperative. They also know too that that's what the communities and the First Nations want, is for us to share, to reduce, and that, so it went well,
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
yeah. Like, I can't speak for them, but the conversation went well, that worked together. And of course, they're so much further advanced than what we are too, where we would need them more so than they need, but, because we don't have anything, but, yeah. But, I mean,
The southeast pit, is that actually up Rocky Creek then, on 27 on the south?
yeah, it's, east side of our 10-year.
So will you access that from the jug, or will you go up the Rocky to haul it then?
That's,
kinda
Yeah.
over the bank from the Joe Road.
It's actually more the Rocky, it's the Rocky Creek. There won't be on the southeast block, there won't be any, the infrastructure that will be on the northwest block, like the washing plant
Mhm.
is gonna be fairly left alone, you know, just go in, yeah, and then everything will be transport, taken up to the northwest where we'll have the
Oh, would you
washing
just use
plant.
haul
and-
trucks to take it to the?
Yeah, yeah. And again, my card's there. If you think of anything, please just email me or text or phone, and I'm happy to answer questions. And I'm also happy, we're happy to come back and give you updates, like if it's in the fall or, you know, what happened after we submitted the detailed project description.
Hopefully when it's warmer.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is warm.
Yeah.
Summer today.
Yeah. So again, just thank you for coming out, listening to us.
Wonderful, thank you so much. I know you guys have a flight to catch back in Fort St. John, so we have a few more minutes. For those of you who arrived a little later, feel free to grab some lunch. By all means, make sure you eat.
I feel very on the spot right now. I'm fine, okay?
So yes, feel free to grab something to eat. If you want to take something to go, there's a couple plates left. Make sure you grab some dessert, some garlic bread, take it to go, have a snack this afternoon, it's great. We do have some door prizes to give away. I have 2 door prizes. Everybody has a little orange ticket. Yeah, I was gonna say, if there's an empty seat beside you, grab that one. Double your chances. So, we do have a hoodie from CTI Plus Resources.
Okay,
The
then
first
it's
prize, and the
wait
last
for
3
it.
numbers are 382. Hey! Fixed it all. It's perfect. And the second one is we have a mug from Vitriol Minerals. They're one of our members. They have given us a whole bunch of swag that we give away at every luncheon. Inside the mug, there's also a little treat, and then a hat from SJA Promo, another one of our members. And the last 3 numbers are 398. 398. Hey! There we go. See, if it wouldn't have been, you could have, yeah, it would have worked. Nope, would have been yours. So next month's luncheon is, again, with CTI Resources, so feel free, it's going to be happening March 20th, so get a hold of me to RSVP. Again, I'll go back to the sponsorship. If we want to keep this luncheon series going where our members can eat for free, and you want to get some awesome promotion, let me know, and we can get that all set up. I really do want to thank, we do have quite a few people that came from town today, from Dawson Creek, from Tumble Ridge, and I really want to say thank you for coming all out and bearing the frosty, slippery roads. Corey, how are you?
I'm good.
Good.
And it was just about on time.
My card is also at each one of your seats, so when I get the presentation from CTI, if you want a copy of it, drop me an email. I will send it over to you. We'll Dropbox it or WeTransfer it. And I would post it on our website for people to look at, but we are currently under a complete brand new rebranding. We received some funding for a shop local promotion, which included some rebranding. So the Chetwynd Chamber of Commerce is going to be unveiling at Trade Show Weekend a brand new logo and a brand new website, a whole new look, which I'm super excited for. So in the meantime, I have no access to my website. Yeah, and we have Trade Show coming up April 4th to 6th at the Chetwynd Recreation Center. We are currently just over 50% sold out. If you want to get a booth, let me know. We'll get you booked up and ready to go. We currently have, well, we usually have anywhere between 1,500 and 2,000 people go through. Last year was, I think, about 2,300 people went through, so it was pretty great. I know it's the same time as the outdoor show in Dawson Creek. But if you plan it right, you can do 2. You can go there, you can be part of ours. So if you're interested in getting a booth, just drop me a line, give me a phone call, and we'll get you booked up. So again, thank you to everybody for coming out. Thank you to CTI Plus Resources and Judy for coming out and giving us this information. Again, there is a meeting that's being planned for the Hasler residents regarding the loadout. That information is on the Stone Creek Hasler Facebook community page. So if you get word out to those folks, that would be great too. And we'll hopefully see you all again next month. Thank you.
And we'll see you at the trade show.
Oh, yes.
They left their hands apart. Grandma was young when the baby came, and she was locked up in a white room raining. Nuns held the key where they made her sign her name. They took my daddy away. My father's blood is mine. His story beats inside me, and I share it here with you. Yeah, he's a child of the government.
Let's start off with, I guess, the vision that you guys saw by the time you were in council 7 years ago with this building. What was the vision of this building back then?
So back then, the vision was based on the elders and people in community who fantasized about having a building where we could all gather, a big enough space to accommodate everyone and more people, so that we could house bigger events and bring more people together, because the current gym that we have is too small, and because we're growing in population, we needed to expand.
What was it like when you guys decided that, you know, you were going to go ahead and do it? Like, was there excitement? Were people nervous? What was that journey like?
So when the organization came together to talk about the idea becoming a reality, there was a lot of unknowns. Where is the money going to come from? How are we going to fund it? So before the excitement, there was worry and stress, and there was a lot of unanswered questions to make the idea a little uneasy. But over time, the questions started to get answers, and then the funding came, and then that's when the excitement came, because now we have a way to navigate to the project.
What would you say was one of the more challenging aspects of building this, making this project a reality?
So the biggest challenge of all, of course, is the budget, because you can plan so much, but then there's always something thrown into the mix where it was unexpected. So then you have to accommodate, you know, the budget and figure out, how do you navigate this cost that we didn't foresee? And so it really did come down to how to manage the money, and we had a good enough contingency that all the outside things that we didn't expect and plan for, it worked out in the end. It all just fell into place and things happened, and we're grateful for that.
Can you give us do you know numbers by any chance, just roughly like total cost of project, and how long did it take to build?
So the build took 3 years, 2-3 years. And the funding came from 3 different pots. So in total, around 27 million. Can't give an exact number right off the top of my head, but we had enormous help from the federal and provincial governments, and then the nation kicked in some of our dollars to make it all work out.
And when you look at the building here today, what does the building make you feel when you look at it?
Connection. It's all about connection. It makes me feel so happy that we have a place to connect. because that's what this building is all about, is so we can bring people in, we can share, we can eat food together, discuss different things, and connect. You know, same with Pemmican Days, that's a place to share, to eat together, to have fun, but to connect. And I think this space is gonna provide that on so many different levels.
Do you have any special areas of the building that are maybe in your heart a bit of your favorite, or anything that sticks out to
I
you?
do have a favorite room. It's the music room, because you can make magic in a music room. We have a lot of musicians in community, and I think that's a great space to encourage and develop the talent. And so if people want to record, that's an option. They can do that, because that's what the music room does. And you know, I think that's a wonderful element to have in the building, is to be able to have a music program, teach people how to write a song. We have a stage now where they could perform. Like, I think that kind of entertainment is really uplifting, and that adds a whole element of fun. So I think that's my favorite.
And then anything else that you would like to add, or maybe we missed in our conversation?
Anything to add?
Yeah, anything else you'd like to add?
I'm just looking forward to the future, and I'm so excited that all the teams got together to make this happen. And I'm so thrilled, you know, the turnout that we had today. And I'm just really grateful and full of like happy emotions, because today is the day that we were waiting for years. Like, when the idea came around 7 years ago and started discussing how are we gonna do this, back then it was a dream and now it's reality. So I'm thrilled. It's exciting.